move on, Chief, for your annual review.
Okay.
So I'll let you take over.
As when I first got here, we had just gone through a review by a consultant, and there were some recommendations made. The consultant and I had quite a bit of conversation about it, and after I was here 90 days, I did a 90-day update on that. We missed the 6, but I did a year to tell you where we've been and what we've done, so you know what it is we're doing from that report. In the consultant summary, some of the issues were lack of efficient record keeping, we cured that. Department manuals needed revisions. That is in progress. That's a long-term. It's going to be continuing. It's not going to be a one deal. I was trying to do that with some of the folks we had in for summer. It was not possible. I didn't do that myself, so I've got to type it and I've got to go in and handle that. So that's going to be probably our top priority as we get into the new year. We'll be getting that all laid out and new. Communication, community engagement, programming needs improvement. I think everybody knows that is in progress. I will tell you, I don't think we could be doing any better with our communication to and from at this point. And there's always room for improvement, but I think we're hearing what people are saying, and I think we're responding to their needs appropriately. I think we have as open of a door as I've seen in the police department. The community seems to be well engaged in the process. When they ask for things, we try to do what we can. So I think we're doing well. That's always going to be in progress. External relationships need to be established and enhanced. Always going to be in progress, but again, I think in a year since I've been here, we've made some great strides there. I'm very proud of where we are at this point. It can always be better. There's never a time when we have enough external relations or good enough or we paid enough attention. But where we are now, I'm pleased. Lack of a strategic plan. Again, something always going to be in progress, and we haven't laid it out. I'm not much, to be honest with you, on a 1, 2, and 5 year plan for a police department. If you look back 1, 2, and 5 years from where we are now, and why police work changed the way it did, and just look at some of the issues like body cameras and things like that, no one could have predicted where we were going there. So that will be a fluid thing. Obviously, our strategic plan is going to be always centered around what our largest problems are. Certainly watching traffic, certainly watching narcotics and things like that. Watching for things that are creeping in, trying to push them down. So that'll be an ebb and flow kind of thing. But again, I think we're doing well with a vision for the future of where we want to go with the police department. We are looking at succession planning and succession training. We've done quite a bit of training this year. I had 4 officers go to an upper level kind of management class. Those are the 4 that are looking to promote. When the 2 that are on the retirement list move on, one of them within a year, the other one when he decides it's time for him. So we'll have at least a sergeant's position coming open, and then the other one's the captain, so everybody will have a seat at that point when he decides he's ready for retirement. We don't know when that is, he hasn't said anything about it. Department unaware of how to find best practices for policing. When I first got here, it just seemed that they didn't know where to go outside, what to do. I think they're all doing well for that. They're all getting a lot of input at this point. There are some very good resources on the web. They've networked a little bit with some other departments, and they're bringing them forward. I think they were aware. I just really don't think they shared that very well with the consultant when it came. So I don't think I did a lot to cure that, but I think they know where they're going to find what it is they're supposed to be doing. As far as seeing themselves as an overall part of the city government, that's definitely gotten much better since I got here. Just in our own building, we have a much better relationship with the fire department. We are much closer. We share a lot more with them at this point. We run on all of their calls that we need to go on. We get dispatched to every single one of their calls. And if they need us, they call us, we call them. We just share a lot more with them. I think we're doing better with public works. They've interacted with us a great deal, even for crime suppression and so forth. When they've been on corners where we know they're going to be for 2 or 3 days working, we tell them what it is we're doing there. We've got a lot of phone calls from them as well, and they're a good set of eyes. They know what they're looking for. Lack of public access to restrooms. That was cured almost immediately. They've been open 24/7 since I got here. The world has not collapsed. The lobby has been open every day since I got here. There has been no Armageddon in there or anything like that. Very few people actually use the bathrooms, but they're clean. You're welcome to come by if you have that need. In the mid-block there. The lobby itself looks good. We spruced it up a little bit, got a little different information in there, changed the bulletin boards and that, and we moved the phone inside, so it's not in the outside man trap anymore, it's actually inside the lobby. So we did that almost immediately. Furniture needs replacing, totally finished. We replaced all of the furniture in the front half of the building, in the detective's office, all the desks. We rearranged everything out front. We changed some of the countertop space. Looks good. Kitchen needs replacing and done, finished. I replaced it myself. We ordered a new one and we took the old one out, put a new one in. We got it all repainted. We had the wallpaper stripped. So the inside of it looks like a fairly new police department. If you haven't bought it, please come by and see it. Again, we're hoping to have an open house. We haven't done that. I'm still actually caulking and painting and doing some of the punch-up touch-up. Lobby space, again, it's accessible and open. And now if you come to the police department, you'll notice the room says we actually bring you inside rather than talking to you through the window. We open the door and usually have you come in so we can stand there in a little countertop that we put up. And it's much better, it's much more comfortable for everybody. I don't really care for talking through a window. We've also taken the blinds that were on that window, I actually took them down and threw them away so they won't close the window. So if you can't come to the window, it's closed. So it's always open. It's a 24/7 place. I don't think we need the blinds open. Poor training and record keeping with multiple locations and self-kept in many cases. The guys were keeping their own stuff with regards to recertification and so forth with the state. The state cured some of that by putting that on a computer. So I have it on a computer portal. The guys have it on a computer portal. But we also have an actual set of folders with any of the newer stuff. Anytime they go to a class, I try to put something in there, we send it down to City Hall and make sure we have adequate. We've just been recertified as a department, and all of the officers for another 2-year period beginning, I think it was June 30th. So we have 2 years to go on that now. We just finished that up. Unclear if all officers are up to date on training. They're all up to date, and again, we have 2 more years. We improve they're up to date. I have 2 of them that are already finished with this year's. They have till December. The others will finish that. So we're all up to date. That's easy. It's easy to see. I believe the state of Pennsylvania will even let regular people go in and look if they want to see where officers are. I think that's public information. Outside training, so we weren't taking advantage of it. Everybody except for the captain has gone to at least one outside training course this year, somewhere outside of the county, city. Some of them have been for DUI training, some advanced DUI training. The captain is also the traffic homicide investigator, and Jason Bean has been to traffic homicide school. Just in case he decides to retire tomorrow, I have to duplicate that. We've sent some folks to some narcotics training, certainly for the meth. We've been to 2 different trainings. I sent different people to different trainings so we can see if they were, what they differed on, because if you know anything about meth and film, there are different methods for making it, and that's very regional. So we went to get a lot of that. I'm no training coordinator. I am actually a training coordinator at this point. It's not that big of a deal. We talk about our needs when I meet with the officers. I try to figure out what it is they want to do career path-wise. For instance, Shane Slagle is an excellent police officer. He has absolutely no interest whatsoever ever being a supervisor. He enjoys being a line officer. So I'm not going to send him to supervisory management classes for the serve a purpose. However, I have others, even some of the newer ones, that wish to be supervisors in the future. And I believe it's my job to replace everybody we have there, if we can, with people we have on site. Now, so, you know, if I get hit by a bus, I want to make sure that I've replicated myself in somebody that's standing there, so you don't have to, if you don't wish to, go looking all over the country. Field training program. One of the officers is a certified FTO, field training officer. It's a school, a rather lengthy school. He has been to that, and we are putting in place a program so when we train the next officer, next 2 officers coming up, we will have a field training program that is based on what's called the San Jose model, which was developed in San Jose, California back in the 80s. but it's a program that really you break into 3 or 4 parts depending on how long it is, usually about 12 weeks. And you take them in segments through these portions. There'll be, geography and radio in the first one, then we'll step them up to some report writing, then we'll put them in the car and let them drive at the end. And then at the very end of that, we shadow them to calls without giving them any instruction to see if they're ready to answer calls. Here it's difficult because we don't get a lot of things all at one time, and there's a lot of calls we get once or twice a year. It's not like where I came from, where we had a robbery or an unattended death once a week. So we just let the rookie go handle the robbery. We don't have that situation here, so our training is going to be a little different. We will go on a lot longer than those 12 weeks, but at the end of that 12 weeks, we can sign off and have a list of competencies that that officer has demonstrated to a field training officer through that 12-week program. So we know on this date, this fellow knew how to do this. So if he gets down the road and does something silly, we can go, on this date you set out the field training officer, he said you knew how to do it, you said you knew how to do it. Here's the report you wrote proving you knew how to do it. What happened here? So it's good for purposes down the line if they decide they just don't want to do things. You can actually say you were trained for that. So there's a good bump for that. No records manager. A records manager would also be that person that would sit there in the station, answer phone calls, and do that. It's not in the budget at this point. Would we benefit from one? That's a cost-benefit analysis, whether we would or not. We'll sit down and talk about that at a later date, but we still don't have one in the budget. We're doing fine. We're getting by. We're making it happen when we need to. And again, all of these things were in the original report from the consultant. Aging fleet with no replacement schedule in place. That's not the case anymore. We have 3 fairly new cars. I have an unmarked that is a 10, but only has 28,000 miles on it. That's the unmarked black car. I have 2 very nice Ford patrol cars. One of them is the SUV that is still white and black. That's 2015. And the other is the brand new black patrol car that is absolutely top notch. Really pleased with it. We do have a replacement schedule that we have spoken about. I think these cars will last us maybe a little longer than what we've talked about. But every 2-3 years, we're going to be buying another one until we realize maybe we'll get to a year and go, we're getting another extra year or 2 out of these things. We'll skip a year. But we are on track. We are in place. There is an I want to say 10, whatever the Dodge is, that we still use. I have one of those left. There were 2 of them. One of them we sold. We sold the old K9 car. We didn't need that either. But I have a 10 left that we use as a supplemental vehicle when 3 guys are working. Still runs fine, still works. Prettiest car in the world, but it still gets the job done. There's nothing wrong with it that would lead us to believe we're not going to use it. The one vehicle that is not pursuit rated is the black one. We do not use it for patrol purposes. We use it to go back and forth to the jail. We use it to go to training, and we use it sometimes for surveillance. But anybody that moves surveillance has one of my cars, so that's really not that useful. We have, by the way, gotten with the Attorney General's office, and we do have vehicles that we have hidden outside of town that we do use for surveillance now for narcotics work. That Larry doesn't even know what they look like. So we would keep those hidden. We don't drive them in uniform. We bring them in to do surveillance. We take them out, stuff them where we have them. We hide them in plain sight. Nobody would notice us. We did in South Florida. It's worked out well here. And that car can be changed out with other cars that DHE has for just that purpose. They give it to us for nothing. It's a car they seize. Maintenance logs are good to go. Rick keeps most of those. I keep the others. We've been up on them since I got here. And now that's cured. Dirty vehicles. Dirty vehicles have got peace of mind. I don't care for them. If you ever seen my personal Jeep, if it's dirty, I'm angry. And I'm the same way with patrol cars. This is one of the dirtiest places I've ever had to drive around the car. I've never seen cars get dirtier than they do in this place. They really do. It's tough. But we do keep up. The car washes have helped us a little bit. Former Officer Bill Dilley is working at the one car wash, so he takes care of us a little bit. The Sheets is taking care of us a little bit. Plus, we're set up to washing with the bays. We have drying equipment and so forth, and we do the best we can with midnights. If it's not, the rule is, if it's not going to rain the next day, it's not raining over midnights, wash the cars. They've been pretty good at that, so I think we've been okay there too. Equipment manager, that would be me. We don't have much equipment to keep up with. In case you haven't noticed, I've gotten rid of everything we do not use. I'm just about through with all that. So we really don't have a lot of things that we don't use every day, so it's fairly easy to keep up with it. If it's obsolete, extinct, we're not going to use it again, it's out the door as far as I'm concerned. Don't have any use for it. But we're doing okay. We have the current equipment with everybody. We have lines for everybody. We know what everybody has at this point. We have brand new vests that we are going to get half of the money that we paid for them back. They were the budget for the $6,300 that we spent on them, and we will be getting $3 grand back from the federal government and the BVP program. I don't know what it stands for, but the vest program the federal government has. I got that word today. We'll probably get that in August. So, they only cost half as much as we thought they were going to cost. So that's back in the budget. Lobby's not welcoming, I think it is. Phone's not easily used, yes it is. This big sign up there, Diane got for me, explains exactly what you're supposed to do, and it's right underneath the phone. It's in blue and white letters. The multiple phone number thing we're trying to cure. Unfortunately, the phone book has our phone number for City Hall in it, and 1890 at the police department. So every day we send people over to the 5300 number. It just got in there wrong. The 1890 number at the police department is not very useful because there's not a lot of people there to answer. So we're trying to use the 1-800-223-3008 dispatch number for everything. And I think that's working fairly well. Some people are hard. They've had the number in their head for 20 years, so they use it. So they leave us messages. We still have a message machine. We have a rule now. If it's blinking, get the messages, call those people back. Seems to work okay. No staffing for building, for handling walk-in business. They call us, we go back to the building. That's what we're doing. And again, it seems to work. We don't have any emergencies in that building. That's not the place to go if you're having an issue. I think everybody knows that. We haven't had anything. It's not a place where anybody runs for refuge or any of that. The firemen are always there if they need something, so they can run into those days. Those days are almost always open during the day and on until nights if we grow things there. We weren't using social media too much. We had a Facebook account back when the office manager, whatever title Beth had, left. That went by the wayside. It wasn't picked up. I picked up on it when it came back. It seems to be working very well. I think we get a lot of good information through that. We get a lot of narcotics information, a lot of very quick information about what's going on in the city. We even get pothole parking and that kind of stuff through it. So I manage that myself. It's not a big thing. I try my phone anyway. So we utilize it fairly well. It's even helped with again reuniting dogs back to their family. I think that's the big issues we've had with it. You're sending the dogs back. For those of you that don't know, I'm a dog lover, so you know I like to see that happen. I do not like to keep them in the kennels at all. We haven't used the kennels too much. They go pretty quickly now. And get bicycles back to people. We try to reunite people with their stuff as fast as we can, so I don't have to keep it, which is the goal. We also had a good bit of luck with the burglary from downstairs. People calling in. Many of the people that helped us put that case together got there from seeing the video on Facebook and or feeling comfortable enough to use Facebook to contact the detective to then come in and give a written statement. So it helped us put that case together. If you'd done it without it, probably didn't help. Absolutely, it was a very big help for us. Organizational structure was something the consultant had a problem with. I'm not thrilled with it either. It's very lineal. It goes from me to the captain, to the lieutenant, to the sergeant, out to 6 officers with a detective off to the side somewhere. We don't use it like that. We use everybody on that list, me, the captain, lieutenant, the sergeant, as a road supervisor during the day. So when I'm in here Monday through Friday, 7 to 3, I'm really not just the chief. I'm the chief, I'm a police officer on day shift, and I'm the day shift supervisor. When the captain is in, he is the captain, one of the officers, and that shift supervisor. Same for the lieutenant, same for the sergeant. And they do have different jobs at this point that I have given them. I have tasked them with several things at their own level. When we get the new people that roll through there, for instance, when Sergeant Root retires, the new sergeant will get a set of responsibilities that we will now call the sergeant's duties. Not, group students, which is how he got it. So we'll change a few of them when they move on, but some of them are fairly complex, and we're doing well with them, so we've left. Similar job descriptions and responsibilities. How much we can get around that, because everybody is, for those of you from the Marine Corps side of the house, everybody's basically trained Marine, and everybody's ready to respond as basically trained Marine, regardless of what your task is. I mean, I'm chief cook and bottle washer, but I'm also the dog catcher when it needs to be. I write every kind of report we write, so does the captain, so does the lieutenant. So we all have to be set up on that. So the supervisory positions are more for if we're having an issue with personnel and so forth, or somebody that really needs to make a call. You just do the guy in the barrel because you're getting the answer today. Evidence has been merged. It has been taken off the books. We have checked with the state's attorney's office, the district attorney's office here. We have made sure that those cases are finished and over with, that they're not pending appeal, and we've gotten rid of them. Lieutenant Russell, the lieutenant's job is to handle the evidence position. He has done a nice job with it. We have audited every piece of evidence we have. We know where it belongs. We know why we have it. We know what case it goes to, and it is being stored properly. So I'm fine with the way we have things. It's a hand-created thing, but it works very, very well. Overtime. Overtime is more of a function of the having 2 people on every shift, which is a minimum for us. And we have, if you look at how many people we have, how many shifts we have a week, we have 5 shifts a week that would make 3 people on 5 different shifts a week out of the 21 shifts we have that you have to figure. And that's with no vacation, no sickness, nobody anywhere. Now, court and so forth is overtime based, but even our courts try to book us when we're actually working, so we don't have to incur overtime. Overtime that we do have, the union contract lays out who gets to take overtime first, so that rises the cost of it a little bit, but we do not use it for anything but either mandatory coverage for shifts, so only one person out there, or have to take somebody over to save the time back. So we do know where it is, we do know what's costing us so long. And again, it's primarily vacation days off. Paper-based records make it hard to track and categorize OT. Solve that problem with the new system that the city manager has got for us. It's not fully implemented yet, but it's coming, and that'll demystify it all. That'll lay it out on a spreadsheet. It'll be easy to track it, very, very, very simple. So that's been cured. Community interaction. The consultant was a little, didn't really feel we had enough community interaction. I think now the officers have a totally different look at this. Most of them are going out and doing many things. Almost all of them have handled their own media at times. I take all of them with me to the stream. I've had almost everybody through there now. I go on Mondays, last Monday of the month, and I take one of them with me so they're comfortable with it. They have done many appearances at different places. Jason Bean, Officer Bean, likes this kind of thing, so he does a great deal of it. Officer Prue enjoys it, he does a great deal of it. Some of the others are not thrilled with it. Tim Russell is very good with it as well, the lieutenant. So from a public relations standpoint, I like to let everybody do it, because I think you want to hear from the officer that handled it. Like the canoe case, I let Detective Lagoon handle a lot of the media. Because yes, I can tell you what he did, but he did it, so he might as well hear from him. He's far more attractive than I am, and I think he makes a better media relations guy, so we'll use him that way. Community engagement, meet and greet, open houses, Citizens Police Academy. We haven't really gotten a chance to get around to some of those extras. We did a big Halloween bash at the station. We're going to do it again. We did the sled riding. We do try to get out to the library today for their reading program. So we do get out and do what we can. The Citizens Academy is going to be fairly time intensive. We may get to a version of that this year. I don't know. We may. It's possible. Because they have really nice layouts for them, so you don't have to reinvent them again. Community policing and problem solving. I think everybody does that. We know what causes our crime here. We know what the root causes are. We have some ongoing people involved in both the Attorney General's Task Force and the Crawford County Narcotics Task Force. There's about 7 of them that get involved in that. That's our major problem. Narcotics is always going to be, substance abuse in general is always going to be something we're going to be working with. It's nationwide, it's not just this community. We've gotten into the bars and talked to the owners. We're trying to change the way they do a little business down there. I think we've been fairly successful with that. I think we've curtailed a lot of the foolishness that was surrounding that. We've made some arrests inside and outside. We'll continue to do that. I've had long conversations with all of those owners. They've been very, very helpful. None of them have balked at any of my suggestions or tactics. They've been very good. So I'm pleased that we can look to them to at least attempt to clean that up. And again, you go to bars and drink, that's why you go. Some people are going to get drunk, I've seen it happen. And we're going to have to deal with that. That's not going to change. But the narcotics and the fights and some of the other stuff, the organized business inside, we're not going to have. And they know that. I've actually talked to the state liquor boards on that as well. And the liquor boards have gone in and reiterated that to all those members. Policies and procedures. Again, we talked about it quickly. I'm trying to rewrite them a little bit. I'll get there. We'll sign off on all of them this year. Job descriptions are going to change a little bit when the people change because some people are just better at things than others. And we had our first 2 summer interns this year. Both young people from within this community. One from Pleasantville, one actually this year, they both went to high school here. And I thought they could help me with some of that typing. Turned out it was a little too technical for it to be much help. I was having to spoon feed them, and I typed very fast, so it just wasn't helpful. So we didn't do that. We did some other things with them. But they were very helpful, and I think the program went well. The one summer intern is in Scotland right now. She's halfway through our program in Scotland. She is a forensic investigator student at Mercyhurst, very impressive. It actually helped us a great deal with some of the new things that are coming along. And also, it's been nice to have youngsters in-house because there are a lot of changes in behavior of these people that we don't understand because, you know, we're 50 years old. Having them around every day has been a great help to us as well. High-nose new car camera, new car, the in-car camera, computers, 100% paid for from the grant. They're top of the line, best ones you can get, the Tough books, and they're almost bulletproof. 3 brand new AR-15 rifles at no cost because we traded in some obsolete equipment that was laying in the basement for them along with the other rifles. Complete transformation of the station, paint, carpet, arrangement, furniture in the kitchen, not a single bicycle in the basement. There was 183 of them when I got here. We repurposed all of them and the parts to charities and so on, so they're being used by people that needed them at this point. 2 new lights for outside the station. The city manager went and got us. We're very proud of those. They look great. Computerized briefing now on all the shift call logs. We used to do it on a little card system that we had to rewrite everything. It really saves a lot of time for us by using the computerized briefing. That was already included in the software package we were using for report writing. So we just updated that. Again, we went over the training they've had, the DUI, traffic homicide, motorcycle gang, management classes. We talked about the retirements that are coming up for some of them. Haunted house, big deal, went perfectly. We had far more people than I would have ever expected. It will go on again this year. We've had several people looking to help us. Sledding day at Burgess Park, we'll try to do that as well. We actually had, I forgot to put it in here, but we played football against a team in town for cancer, stand up to cancer a little bit, and that went very well. They raised some good money. It was kind of a fun event. I broke 4 ribs in the process, so I will not be playing at all next year. I can tell you that now. I will only coach. I will not even wear sneakers, so I can't possibly play. We had our first 2 interns again, one from Mercyhurst, one from Pittsburgh Tech. That's just a list of some of the things we've been going through. All 10 of us have been engaged in community policing. I'm a member of the Titusville Housing Collaborative, Stand Up Titusville, Crawford County Overdose Prevention Coalition, Rotary Club, and some other things. We're working up with an officer on the board of the YMCA. I speak regularly at the local clubs and boards, working with the United Way. Several officers are giving presentations, such as at runs. We had one at Farmers Market on opening day, Jason Dean. School-based DUI presentations. We can set up a mock crash so we can walk through that with the students at the high school. We have developed a host of reading materials that we have at the station for fraud and drug abuse. Those materials are fully funded by community partners, businesses, and some other donations here locally. Good working relationship with Titusville. I was there today for a tabletop exercise where we talked about civil disturbance and what to do with all the other agencies, including PSP, their staff, the fire departments, emergency care, and so forth. We have trained together, we respond together, and we'll continue to do so. We have reinvigorated our relationships with all the task forces, and they pay for all of the officers' time when we are task force officers. So when we're investigating narcotics, all I have to do is get a case number from the AG's office. They don't physically have to be here. And then all of the time the officer spends on that over his 8-hour day is paid for, and that's fully paid for. Benefits, salary, everything for that, overtime for that officer when he chimes in for that case. It's reimbursed from them. It's been a couple of $1,000s this year. And we will continue to do that. I think that's it. I don't know. I think we've been over most of that. Probation and parole, we have a very good, close working relationship with them. State police have been very good to us. Their Clan Lab setup has been in town many times, so we know them very, very well. We dispatch with the fire department, went through that. Our goal is to make the department as transparent as the law will allow. There's something we can't tell you, but I will tell you everything else. I don't think we're running Quantico, Virginia over there, so if I can tell you, I will. We'll continue the outreach and interact personally. The new camera system helps a great deal because it demystifies what took place in front of that camera. And we keep it on. The officers are not able, if you look at the Minneapolis case from the other day where the young lady got shot in the alleyway and the officer was in the car, you cannot turn my car camera off. If you're the officer in that car's on, that camera's on. So you can't turn it off. And you cannot reach inside and do anything with the video because there are two sources. And the hard drive itself is always running and always capturing. So even if you haven't turned it on to capture that, the hard drive still capturing. So I will still have it. I will continue to make myself available and officers available for presentations for anybody that wishes. And again, we like a Citizens Academy, but that's a manpower issue in town.
What is a Citizen Academy?
Citizens Academy is allowing people who have some desire to learn more about the police department to come in and do typically, Tuesday, Thursday nights for 6 weeks, 2 hours a night, and we bring you through your investigations, how our cars work, how our equipment works. We bring the officers in and let them talk to you. And we tell you what we do, and we'll walk you through how we got there. Some of our training, we show them how the weapons work. We explain to them how the car camera works. We explain to them how a taser works. Where I used to work, we actually used to tase people in that class. They enjoyed it for some reason. I don't know why, but we would actually, we didn't hit you with it. The alligator clipped you up to it. It's the same thing. And pull the trigger, and people love it. So, they just want to feel it. They want to know. Because we tell them it's not injurious, and we'll make you believe when we do it once. As soon as it's over, you feel fine. You stand back up, you won't want again, but that's the purpose of it. We have a system for intelligence in place in the station now. It's actually just a flip chart. It's not high-tech, but it really works. And we just keep writing on it. And there's papers we just flip over, and sometimes we put them on the walls if they help each other. You can go back and see what it is we talk about at different reviews and so forth. Names, dates, places, cars, some of the different coordination between people are all on. I think we're in good shape moving forward. Again, I've been here a year the 15th. We're doing well with the budget. We've saved a great deal of money with some creative funding this year, which I do again every year. Some outside sources. We get rid of stuff we don't use. We've utilized some grant money for vaccine computers. We've got some good training. We trained hard. I think we're well equipped to handle what it is we're expected to do. We'll continue to seek some outside educational opportunities. We'll get the field training program up and running. When we're ready, we'll hire the new guys to replace our retirements and continue our community partnerships and interacting. And again, I think the biggest thing we can do is plan for the future for succession, make sure they have the right information to take over in that next run up. We don't want to train them as a lieutenant when they get the lieutenant's job. We want them to be ready to step into that role when it's open, so that'll.
Chief, what about neighborhood watch programs? I've had some people talk to me about it, and they were.
Organized neighborhood watch programs could work. They're beneficial, but I was talking to them, I was in the library, that was what my talk was on, was keeping your house safe. We really have some good informal neighborhood watch programs in town. Everybody knows their neighbors, everybody knows who belongs and doesn't. We could formalize some of that. Neighborhood watch itself is a program that comes with parameters that you have to follow. You know, we could do Titusville watch and then do our own parameters, which I would probably think would be better. But neighborhood watch is a trademarked situation, so you got to do it that way. But we can do some of that. It would just depend on how it's set up on, you know, a geographic location with block captains and people that are in charge of that certain thing. The police are not in charge of neighborhood watch, the neighborhood is. We don't have the neighborhood watch is set up for burglaries. Most of the burglaries. We don't have any. I mean, we have a burglary here is like a unicorn, which is a great thing, like, you know, but that's what neighborhood watch is set up for burglaries and thefts, and we're really not having that. Plus, we do get a lot of information about the other stuff. We could do something along those lines, certainly, but we don't have the burglary problem, which neighborhood watch is set up to combat.
I'm thinking more along the line of vandalism. I've had some people along that live up by Roberts Grove, and they talked to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that would be a possibility. I think Roberts Grove is, because I've been up there every day now for a week or so, and that's more of the little vandals got comfortable there. So we got to make them uncomfortable again. I think we're doing okay. There was a certain group of them that felt that was their place to go to do that. But that's a small group. If it continues, that would help. But a neighborhood watch program is a long-term situation where you're coming to meetings once a month, where you're keeping track of stuff, or somebody's got, and it's tiring for citizens because there's a lot to it. It's not just, I look for stuff. You got to go for specific training. You got to know what to do when you find it. You're not allowed to confront people, which hurts most people. So there's some rules that they have, there's some training they have to go through if we're going to institute that kind of thing. To keep them from confronting, you know, criminals. Make them call instead of confront.
Did you have any questions or comments for the chief?
I have a question.
Sure.
How detailed and how far does the MOU thing go?
Very, very, very esoteric. It pretty much says that we will work together when we need it in emergency situations, which the state statute, they follow state statute. It doesn't really go into anything else other than that. When the consultant was here, they thought there was a way that we could, you know, work together to patrol and cut down the M1 right now, and that's just not possible. It's just it's just not possible. The unions, the contracts and things don't make it possible, and I really don't think the training is the same.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's very informative, and once again, I'd like to compliment you on your work and your officers. That's the community effort and the aspect of things really shows.
They're a talented group, and I appreciate having them, and I appreciate the support I've got from everybody here, including us. And certainly,
Are you in to see the city manager daily, or at least?
we don't see each other all that often. We talk on the phone a lot.
Yeah, well, we should probably see each other at least once a week,
Well, we see,
maybe twice a week, yeah.
certainly once a week. I don't see him every day. Usually, I come in once a day, but he's busy.
You haven't put that no police allowed sticker in the window yet.
Heather, anything?
No, thank you.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the batting cage, Mr. Mellenbacher.
Sorry I was late and out of order. I got the hint when the door was locked in City Hall. I figured out where to come from. Most of you probably know something about the batting cages, but I'll tell you just a little bit. The project has been a collaboration of many people, local businesses, nonprofits, the city, all working together to try to get over countless hurdles. So if you ever try to build something, you know how hard that is. Now try to build it on city property in flood zone. Try to get it done in an expedient manner. The donations have come from local nonprofits, individuals. It's been built by local volunteers headed up by Leach Construction. This has cut the cost of the project in half. So all the materials and equipment have been paid for, or we're accounting for, and have been taken care of. And hopefully, Ken Leach has been extremely busy, which is good for Ken Leach, and not so good for our project. So in talking with Ken, who couldn't make it tonight, we are hoping to have this done by snowfall. So this project started, my son was in high school, he's a junior in college. So it does take time, and your patience is...
You were hoping for it to be done last year, snowfall?
I don't know, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because we barely got it started. Originally, all we really wanted to do is get the building up, and then let the school district or the city or whoever help us get it done. And we've gone beyond that. We have, at this point, I would welcome any of the local organizations or individuals or the city or the school district. I'd like another $5,000 or $6,000 because I'd like to put brand new pitching machines in the building. We're going to have used pitching machines in the building for the girls' side and the boys' side. I'd like brand new ones. That's around $5,000. And I think we could maybe get there, but it's not necessary. So hopefully we can get it done and get all the materials are down there. We just need to put the sides on and get it fired up. We'd like to, wish list would be new machines and maybe some kind of a heat source in there. Not to necessarily heat the building, but to heat the batters while they're batting so that we can extend the time it takes to get in there.
So Mark, is all the money used up out of the foundation?
No, they're sitting on a little bit of money. We still have a little bit of money that's not in there, a couple little bills to pay back out. But
Okay.
It's funded.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry for the slowness of it, but we're getting there.
Okay, and it's open to the elements? Is that causing any damage at all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's going to be closed in. That's the final part.
Okay.
So we have the siding, and it's going to be a lot of sliding doors, so it can be opened up when used and closed when not.
Originally, you had some kind of turf for the floor. Is that still going to be on top of the concrete, or is the concrete going to be the floor?
We originally were going to go with a dirt floor, like Slippery Rock University has a dirt floor, and I actually did a tax return for an individual who sold turf to the football fields, and he said, yeah, we got old turf that we can donate to this project, and it's been sitting down near the sand volleyball courts. And Ken then decided it would sure be nice to put cement down, so he did. So I think the plan is to put that over the top of it. We'll see. I don't even know what kind of shape it's in at this point. If you have just plain concrete and ball screaming around, it might be a lot. So we'll see. Hopefully that stuff's still good down there, and we'll roll it out. And it won't say Penn State or something on it. Any other questions?
Jeffrey, anything?
No, good.
If someone wishes to help, Mark, do you have a way for them to contact you or whoever's leading up the construction?
Yeah, the construction side of it, we probably don't need too much help. Ken really has a good crew. There's been a lot of people that have volunteered that know a lot more than I know about it. I showed up and I was out of my element. But I don't think they need too many more hands. They need time. And then, like I said, I would welcome, we'll make a decision if we're going to go after more resources, but if anybody's hearing this and we've never gone to a school district other than to ask them about their machines, which they want to put in there. We've never asked anyone. We've the local community stepped up. And I didn't want to go back to any of them. A couple of them said, if you need more, come back. We'll see. We'll see. We're just trying to get it done. We're as frustrated as you guys are. We're getting there. But I've had plenty of young guys come up to me, when am I getting into the batting cage?
I know.
When you're this big. Any other
10
questions?
years, no. We wanted an update, and I wanted to hear an approximate time of completion.
The city was very instrumental, Larry, in helping us get the allocation up because we were in a flood zone. And I don't know what we were going to do. There was things in the paper back then that they were going to scrap. The whole project scrapped. Flood zone. Larry came up with a nice idea to put those millings in, bring it up, and that worked. Really good project back on. But it's been, then the power lines were in the way. It's just done a lot of things. We're happy it's getting there.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mark, thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the open air market. Melanie here.
No,
We talked with Melanie last time.
right. She was asking about letting enforcement of the ordinance. That is, anyway, can I share the space with you? Is that all right? I just want to set things down. Most of you know me, except I don't think I've ever met you actually, Heather. I'm Leah Carter. I've been involved in the market committee for over 10 years now. And there's several members of the market committee and or vendors that are here tonight. And so I just have some questions that we would like to get hopefully some clarification or discussion on. And hopefully they will all feel comfortable to chime in whenever.
Lee, I'm going to stop you for 1 minute. I would like
Sure.
to know who is on the TRI board here. Emily?
TRI board members.
TRI.
Yes,
What, your name?
Sarah Jones?
Sarah Jones. All right, and who are the vendors? Okay, in the back to my right. Your name?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, Jen Phillips.
Oh, okay, Jen. I know you, Judy. Judy's behind Judy.
Sue Briggs.
Sue
Briggs.
Briggs, okay.
Danielle Zimmerman.
All right, Danielle.
Jesus Spencer.
Okay, I didn't catch the first name.
Tia.
T, okay, all right. Because I wondered who's on the, who's the vendors and who's on the board. Okay,
Well, all of the board and all of the committee isn't here tonight, and all of the vendors aren't here tonight, but these are some of them.
I just want to know who was here.
Okay, well, as you can see, the committee is made up of some board members, some vendors, and some community members. And just to make sure that we're kind of all on the same page, I guess I'd like to just kind of review really briefly some of the history. Prior to 2006, the city managed the market, and it was diminishing. And so Renaissance went to the city, and we offered to take over the management of the market, and the city said, please do. So from 2006 on, we've been managing the market. We've been in, this year will be our 5th location, which is actually a repeat location. So in a little over 10 years, we've had to move 5 times. And anybody involved in managing a market knows that that is very, very difficult. Moving a market is like starting over every time. And so that has been a struggle because we were trying to find what we thought would be a good home. And we kind of thought that Fleming Park was a good choice. Unfortunately, we're not there this year, but that's another issue. So anyway, we've been managing since 2006. And the city, in exchange for us taking this off their hands, they waived any kind of licensing or restrictions. They pretty much supported to let us just run the market, which we did it to not only support local agriculture, but also to support local artisans and local entrepreneurs, some which have actually grown into vendors in other establishments in the downtown. So we saw this as a very positive way to support local people that were not only growing food or growing or raising animals or doing, making farm products, but also making other goods. And so then things now have changed. And so we have some questions. And I thought we would probably start with the most basic question is, many people have questioned us about why are we not in Fleming Park this year? And so we thought perhaps that would be a good question to start.
It's been asked and answered.
What's that?
It's been asked and answered.
Yeah, this has been asked
in a
and
public
answered.
setting so that the public
It's been answered.
It's been answered
in a
numerous
city council
times.
meeting.
Yes. So Larry, would you like to take over that?
I'm glad to answer that. The reason you're not at Fleming Park, as we decided, there was a grant pending for the renovation of Fleming Park. One reason. That grant is still possible to be awarded. We don't know that. Second reason is all the construction and all the things going on that end of town with the handicap ADA ramps that become a safety hazard. To have more people in there, that opens us up to bigger liability. That's just this year.
So you're anticipating that next year we would go back to Fleming Park?
I would assume so, but that's entirely
There's no
up to City
guarantee of
Council.
that. No
Yeah, that's
guarantee of
entirely
that.
up to City Council.
That's correct.
Okay. And the grant that you're referring to, that is money that you've been trying to obtain for, what, 3 years now? And so,
I don't know, it's been 3, at least 2, maybe 3, I don't know.
okay. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Just jump in if you do. Because,
But the big factor this year is the safety factor.
okay.
The ADA ramps, and also we're going to be starting a project real soon, which is your high season for our streetlights and stuff down that street. So that is also something that's going to go on in that area.
And you know that Renaissance does carry $1 million liability coverage, which includes the market. You're
That
aware
still
of that?
doesn't exclude us from being negligent. If we're negligent and allowing you to do it, we can still be named in a lawsuit. Correct, Rich? Correct.
Okay. Okay, so since we've been managing the market for over 10 years, the question that's come up is why are local artisans now not exempt along with the farm products?
Would you ask that again, please?
For the past 11 years now, artisans have been permitted to be part of the market along with our farmers. And for example, we had a rock jeweler that has been a member for many years. We have an Amish girl who makes handmade purses and handbags and birdhouses and bird feeders. And we've had soap makers, we've had all kinds of different artisans making handmade products. And so the question has arisen now is why are they no longer exempt under the licensing as they had been for the past 11 years?
Okay, let me explain that to you. A year and a half ago, I met with Emily Altamere. And we had two transient merchants in our town. One sold fireworks, and the other one sold flowers, Stan's Garden Center. And at that time, we were looking at, well, let me backtrack. The city was charging Stan's a business license, and they were charging the fireworks a transient merchant license. And they were paying $200 a month. And I felt that that was very unfair. So I was talking with Emily, and Emily felt that she didn't want to see us addressing the transient merchants because, and she admitted that she felt that that was unfair, but that she didn't think that we should be changing that license. Because at that time, she said that the transient merchants, they have no overhead. They sell their wares at a lower cost, and they drive customers away from our local establishment, or established businesses. And at that point, I was addressing only 2. So when we brought that up, Heather brought that up to us again this year, I just felt that it was unfair that one transient merchant was paying $100 and the other transit merchants paid $200 a month. And he was here for approximately, I'm going to say 2 months. Diana, the fireworks gentleman? 2? Okay. I felt that that was unfair. So we're all about being fair. Now I know that Emily, you wear 2 hats. You are the president of the chamber.
I'm the executive director of the chamber.
Okay.
And I am currently president of TRI.
Okay, and you are representing, you're supposed to be representing the businesses and looking out for the businesses, and I really respect that. I think it's wonderful. So, when it was brought up to us, again, then we started taking a look at it. Well, we have transient merchants at the open air market, which isn't a farmer's market, it's an open air market. So, when I took a look at it, I thought, well, if we are here, Emily, to look out for the businesses and to protect businesses, well, the businesses that your vendors, some of your vendors, are in competition with, because after all, you advertise that it's a seasonal open air market offering homegrown, homemade, farm-fresh produce, ham loaf, ham salad, grass-fed beef, whole hog sausages, relishes, salsas, baked goods, honey, syrup, jams and jelly, homemade ice cream, plants and flowers. The artisans offer jewelry and yarn and knitted products, and includes food, live music, and artists. Now, according to our director that's out looking after our businesses, the businesses that you, Leah, with your open air, the businesses that you're stepping foot on is Warner's Bakery, and these are some of the people that in town that has business license. Warner's Bakeries, Patty's Bread and Pastries, Giant Eagle, Save-A-Lot, Dollar General, 5M Feeds, the Jewelry Store and Repair, Brown's Primitives, all the flower shops, all the restaurants that sells baked goods, CVS, Rite Aid, etc. Those are to name a few. So, just a minute, just 1 second, okay? Now, those are the ones that you are stepping foot on. So we are here as a council to uphold our laws and ordinances. So Heather brought it to us and she said, let's be fair and let's lower the cost to these folks. Now we were kind enough to lower that. I thought that was fair, don't you?
They didn't pay a licensing fee previous to this at all.
I understand, but we had to take and start addressing because there's 2 people that are being unfairly treated. And this had nothing to do with you folks, nothing. I'm going to let you speak just 1 second, okay? But we had to address this issue. Now, that's answering your question. And then last month, Melanie Pattison, she asked what was the description of homegrown or farm fresh or for the farmer's market. And we said that we would get back with her. So just a minute. So she, just a moment. So she can meet with us, or so she could meet with Larry and I, and we could answer her question. So we sent her a copy of the ordinance, and we got a response back, and this is a response, and council, you didn't get this response because this was sent, Larry sent it. No, I'm sorry. I sent a email to her, and this is what how she responded. Hi Esther, I can't make tomorrow. I need to be in Erie at 3:30 to babysit my grandson. And actually, there's no reason for us to meet because I agree with the city's position after reading the ordinance. I will be sending an email to the TRI board, hopefully this weekend, to explain my opinion, and I will copy you and Larry. Now I want to remind council, at last month's meeting, Mrs. Pattison is the one that they asked to get up and speak to us. So she's the one that we were supposed to address. Every time we have a problem, Mrs. Carter brings someone else out to the forefront to let them be the spokesperson and or take the bullet. And I am done. I want to tell you folks, I feel bad for all the vendors. And I'm going to ask the vendors a few questions if you don't mind me asking. Could you tell me, please, just one second. I'm going to ask you something. Were you folks given, or were you folks told what the requirements are from the city? Do you know anything about our ordinances or anything about the laws? Were you told anything? Judy, are you part of it?
No, she's my daughter.
Okay, were you told anything at all?
I was told that I had to be a farm-based product, and I'm one of the original ones to start
Okay.
coming to the farmer's market because I had to be farm-based and because I own my own animals, and I hand
Okay.
process all of my own wool. That
Okay.
was unique. It's something nobody else does, and that I classified. And I went to more than one farmer's market and got the city to agree to that.
Okay. How long have you been involved with the,
2008, I think.
Probably,
Yeah, somewhere in
we
there.
were one of the very first ones we had.
see, I think, and I'm going to speak to council and Larry, I think what the big problem here is we have folks that are innocent. They do not know, truly know what the rules and regulations are, and I think it's unfair to these folks. And then we end up being the bad folks because you really don't know what the laws and what the rules and regulations are. And it's unfair for us to allow people to be involved. It's almost like a third party. You only hear what Mrs. Carter tells you. And this is an insult. I'm not insulting her at all. You only know what Mrs. Carter tells you, what the rules and regulations are. Is that true? Okay, it isn't. Do you have other folks that tell you what the requirements are?
No, but Lee has also provided information for us to be able to look up your ordinances.
Okay, see, because I want to make sure you folks have what you need to know how it's operated, how we operate in this town.
But it's been operated this way for how many years? And now you're just all of a sudden knuckling down on people.
For the past 10 years, has it been an open air market? Or did it start as a farmer's market?
I'll start as a farmer's market.
When you took over,
It's
Always
always
been open air.
We changed the name when we moved to Fleming Park, but it's always been
so
artisans included.
So
with
under
farmers.
the
Always been.
precepts of the city, they were always thought that you were taking over a farmer's market, correct?
No, I mean, the city was well aware that we advertised as homegrown and handmade. It's always been that way.
And it's been that way since I've done it.
But you guys have looked at the PA, Department of Agriculture regulations for a farmer's market?
Yes.
Okay, where it says that you can't, anything that's from an animal that's processed is not exempt into something else?
How about USDA has a list of
I'm just going
what's
off
considered
the
a farm
government's
product.
website, off the Pennsylvania website, what it says, who's exempt and who's not exempt.
If the money made from the product goes back into care for that animal, that is farm-based.
I'm just going by the regulations right here.
But I'm saying,
And it
the
doesn't say
sale
that
of the
anywhere.
stuff that I do goes into helping me pay my rent and pay my fee. This was a way for me to try to support my animals.
I understand that.
And my sheep are rare. My sheep are the only two in northwestern PA. They're on the endangered list.
Okay, well, I'm
So
just
I'm
telling you what the
saying, I'm
Department of
trying to
Agriculture
market this
website
sheep
says.
as well as promote a rare breed.
So you're making money to pay your rent and to live off of at the farmer's market?
I'm selling my products. It has nothing to do with where I live. It pays my rent. I rent from the Knock family. I rent barn space and grazing. Helps pay for my feed, helps pay for my meds, it helps pay for everything. I can account for everything in my taxes.
And I understand that. So to me, so we should let you make your living for no fee, but we charge every business that's in this town a fee a year.
But I don't have a physical store. I don't have an online store.
Then you would be a transient merchant.
No, not if I'm a citizen of Titusville.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's based on your business, not whether you're a citizen or not a citizen.
So the two people that you're talking about, they lived in Titusville?
No, that's our point. It doesn't matter where you live or where you're
But
from.
isn't the transient license for people to pass through? Aren't you supposed to be helping people from Titusville?
That's my point. So why should you not pay a license fee when Burger King pays a license fee and they're doing the same thing? They're making money to pay their rent and make a living. You're just using an avenue where you don't have to pay for that.
Because it's still agricultural. I mean, it's the same thing as somebody that raises corn. We raise corn, we process the corn, we feed the sheep.
Okay? Well, I'm
So
just
why would that be any different? I mean, I
because
can
the
sell my meat,
Pennsylvania
I can
Department of
sell cheese from
Agriculture
the sheep,
says
but why
it.
can't I sell
What's it say, Jeff?
It says,
And there, get that ordinance, get the ordinance there and read that. And then, and Rich, as of tonight, I want you to work on an ordinance and make it.
Dumb it down.
Exactly. And make sure it's raw material, period.
Can I ask a question?
No, not yet. Raw material. And Larry, please read the ordinance.
What part? I mean, I'll be 10 minutes reading this whole ordinance.
No, just the farmers.
The exceptions or
What the definition?
the definition?
No, I shouldn't, what form, it's highlighted on there.
Okay, what's highlighted on this sheet that I have is the exceptions. Farmers who offer for sale or sell or who peddle from house to house or in the markets, farm or garden products produced and raised by such farmer from lands occupied and cultivated by him within the Commonwealth.
And we need to basically, whoever said there, dumb it down, you need to make it raw. Can we do that, Rich?
Should be able to, yeah.
Raw material? Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
How is that serving the needs of the community and supporting the local farmers and artisans in the community?
We have laws, Leah. Leah, you know what?
But aren't the laws to serve the community, the greater good of the community?
but don't we have to protect businesses here as well?
Can I say something? The business you mentioned was affiliated with me. She carries my product and I promote her store whenever I go anywhere. So
Okay.
I'm promoting local business in Titusville.
So do
she
you have a
has-
business license?
Who?
You.
No, I don't need
No,
one. I
because
own a
she's-
farm.
she
I sell
sells-
products in her store.
She sells at Brown's Primitive Sentiments. She has numerous vendors that sell within her store, all under her business license. When Renaissance offered to buy the business license for the market, we were told, no, we couldn't do that. That each individual vendor had to buy a
That's
license.
correct.
Same thing with Carpenter's Corners. They have one business license, and they
That's
have
a
multiple
consignment
vendors
business.
underneath.
They have brick and mortar business and they pay taxes. These businesses that come in and you're not talking about a one-time thing like you would in the oil festival. That's 1 day, 2 days. We're talking about someone who's coming into Titusville and selling their products over the course of 4 months without ever having to pay a dime of taxes or any brick and mortar that all the other businesses have to pay. How is that fair?
No, we're not talking about people who come into Titusville, we're talking about people who live in Titusville.
We don't have any
These are
farms
all
in Titusville.
local, these are all local people
We're talking about within the city limits.
We have farms in the
within
city.
the school district.
We're not
No,
the
we're
school
not.
district, Leah. We're the
They
city.
have, you're playing the game as you've played for the last 10 years.
Trying to support the
No,
local
no,
artisans
no,
and businesses.
but don't put that spin on it because that's fake news. Stop right there. Stop.
You need to not make this
Stop.
personal, Esther. This needs to
Chief,
stay unprofessional.
Chief, I'm going to ask you to please, I'm going to give her 1 moment and you're to remove her. Is that understood? Thank you.
I have a question.
You may.
How come every couple years there's something else that you guys harass us with?
Okay, can you explain that?
Like, a couple years ago, you wanted us to move to a different location, just constantly moving us and.
We've never
Okay,
said.
stop. We're gonna, this
Something
is,
for that.
may I tell you folks a story and tell you the truth? All right, we're gonna talk about this. About 5 years ago, 6 years ago, you were located, Larry, where were they located before Leah asked to be put in the municipal parking lot?
Wait,
Stop,
excuse me, this is
stop.
not Leah. Excuse me. Point
Chief,
of order,
I'm
this is
asking you to
not
take-
Leah. This is not Leah's
Council, would
parking.
you please ignore Leah's out of order comment? I want you to remove. Remove her, please.
I have a point of order to
let you
raise.
know what happened. You remove her or leave it. Okay. You want to know why you were removed? We didn't remove you. Mrs. Carter asked for you to be in the location you were at.
It's a whole committee.
You folks were over, you folks weren't, but you were put over to the municipal parking lot, and she asked that you be put there. One day I happened to be walking through there, and the gentleman that sells jars of jellies, he's from over in Tinesta. And he said, he was saying, he said, by this time, all my goods would be sold. And it was 11 o'clock, I was walking over to City Hall. And he said, if it wasn't for this city council making us sit here in the hot sun. And I said, excuse me, sir, but what did you just say? And he said, city council made us be here, made us park here in the municipal parking lot. I said, but we didn't. I said, Leah went over to the city manager and asked and said the vendors wanted to be over at the city parking lot. And he says, well, how do you know that? You girls are welcome to go look this gentleman up and ask him if this was said. And he said, how do you know that? I said, because, sir, I'm the mayor of our town. And he said, well, you should know what you're talking about. I said, Larry Manross looked at Leah and said, if you move this here, it's going to be the death of the market. He said, please, move it over to Shiny Park, move it over to the other parks, move it over to Burgess Park. He begged Leah to move it to these parks, and she refused. She said, we want the municipal parking lot. Then, the next year, then she came the next year, and she said she wanted to be at Fleming Park. Came to council, came before council. Everybody, Jeff, were you here at that time? Came before council, said we wanted Fleming Park. We were good enough to take and send her over to Fleming Park and allow you folks to be at Fleming Park. Then one day, Larry, a gentleman or a lady called you about a vehicle parked in the parking lot, or parked in the park.
Pickup truck.
I remember the incident, but I don't remember if it was.
Someone called, some citizen called Larry and said there was a car or a vehicle parked in the park or in the lot, and it needed to be removed because vehicles aren't allowed inside the park. So Larry sent the chief of police, which at that time was Gary Thomas, sent him over. At this meeting, we were all over, sitting in Central Tower, having the meeting in front of the older folks' place. Mrs. Carter always has her captive audience, and the folks were all there, and she said, the lady from Townville that sold blueberries, I don't know her name, a lovely lady, came in, and she was very upset because chief of police went over there. And she came in and she said, why would you send the chief of the police to come over? We're just farmers. I'm just trying to make a living. Again, I came in, I had no idea this had happened. For 5 minutes before the meeting started, Larry said to whisper to me, he said, I want you to know there was an incident over at the park, and Leah's here, and she's probably going to address it. Not a problem. I had no idea this took place. So the meeting went on. At the end of the meeting, when the time for the public to participate, Leah got up, or the lady spoke to us, and at that time, Larry said, Mayor, would you mind if I take and address this, because it happened to me? And I said, no, sir, you help yourself. So he ends up explaining what took place, and then at the end of the meeting, Leah got up and was on Larry about the chief being over there, and her words were, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you tell me? You didn't have to go and tell the vendors. They're just vendors. What we didn't know, folks, what we didn't know is Leah Carter was not in town that day. And the chief of police informed Mr. Smith that night that what she was saying was not true. And she was on her way to Chicago. Is that what was said, Mr. Smith?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. So there was no way that our chief at that time, nor the manager could have contacted her. But she set it up that we were out here to get you, after you folks, and that was a lie. And then the next day, the next 2 days, if you could recall, and I have the articles, we took a beating for something we never did. Into the letters to the editor, they were telling how horrible the mayor was, how horrible Larry Manrock was, and to run them out of town. We had absolutely nothing to do with that. That's Mrs. Carter's lies. And then to bring it, and there was a little Amish person over there, and a gentleman by the name of Marsh. He helped that lady carry or drive these Amish people to that market. And that little Amish lady says, I don't understand why we can't be over to, she called it Shady Park, which I knew she meant Shady Park. And I said, do you know that we offered that park? And she said the vendors don't want it. She also told that man over in Titusville that the vendors didn't want Shady Park, and we begged her to take Shady Park. Now, I am fed up with the lies. She badmouths us. She thought we are always the bad people. And all we're there is to take and try to help the farmers out. We even offered Shady Park to all the farmers at free of cost. You guys go down there and set up there. But now you're over there, and she manipulates, and you're over there, and I feel bad. And what I would like to make a proposal to council, what I would like to council, to let these people go into Shady Park for nothing this year until we straighten out this mess. It's unfair. We have no idea what these people were told.
We have Shiny Park available to them for farmers market, and
I like where our position is.
Do you?
I like the last position too. I like the shade from the old position and the ability of the residents to get down and to get fresh local produce. That they have a hard time getting down to Shady Park, let alone where we are now. But
Is that working out well for you?
yes, it is more visible from the road.
And they can also drive in too. They get their things that they buy a lot.
They can, if they have a hard time walking, they can drive in and
The last thing
be
we
closer
need to do
to.
is try and change position in the middle of the season.
Yes.
I mean,
Right,
we're just
and I
trying to get-
absolutely agree with you, ma'am.
And that's where we started.
That's where we started. We're there, we did well, we were building up, and then it moved. We quit doing the markets because, said, every time you move, it's like starting all over.
Absolutely, and like we told her 5 years ago, please just take Shady Park. It's visible, it's on Central Avenue. All you have to do is pull your vehicles up and unload. There's plenty of parking there. We begged her to take it. She refused it. So it puts us in a tough position because all we get is hearsay. And it's unfair. That's why I like to look people square in the eye and talk to them. I like to find find out what's really going on.
Well, with the business license and the TRI license, half the crafters that we're selling there aren't even gonna make $200 in 4 months. People just like to watch. The old people come up and just walk up to me and say, I remember when my grandmother did that.
Can I say
She
something?
did, I'm sorry, Heather.
When we first started talking about transient merchant license, I said everyone should just have to get a business license. Then I got lambasted, and I listened to Emily tell me for 15 minutes how it's unfair for people that have brick and mortar business.
Absolutely.
And so what are we supposed to do? Just every transient merchant charge them a different license except for the ones that you know?
No, let me try and clarify a little bit since my name has personally been attached to this
Well,
argument.
because you said that.
Absolutely.
We said that it's a difference when you have, for instance, grocery stores that are part of the tax base, that employ people. They're paying for a business license, but then you have someone going door to door. And that person should be charged in some way. There should be records kept of that. That way then we know who's buying things from people, especially when it's things like meat. You want to have some record of that so you know if it's actually FDA.
We were talking about the firework place and the flower
That's all we
place.
were
That
talking about.
they're not going door to door and they're not selling meat.
Correct.
And you said that those transient merchants, because they are not brick and mortar and they do not pay taxes, they should have to pay more for their licensing than a brick and mortar business. When I said it should all be the same.
I think that you shouldn't be providing advantages to businesses that are only here for a short time.
What do you just think they are?
They are part of
Except for the people that you know.
That is not true because I do not know these people. I do not serve
Well, for
on
the
TRIC.
for the organizations
They're
that
part
benefit
of a
you.
community event. We don't ask any special licensing for the city. The city doesn't make money when there's a production that comes to town that brings people together and makes money for an organization like summer theater. Why should we be trying to make money
Because summer theaters are non-profit organizations.
Well, and these people who are here under the open air market are representing a small group of artists and farmers, and clearly there's a completely different set of rules and laws for farmers and agricultural businesses. And then these are people who are not making vast amounts of money. They're not taking
This doesn't
away-
matter if I make 50 bucks or 100 bucks, I
Is
still
there a
gotta pay
documented
tax.
agreement?
Huh?
Is there a documented agreement?
My
on this
question is,
back to
so for the
2006
farmers,
when-
it doesn't bother you that somebody can come in there with something that's not farm related, make money, and not have to pay anything? They get to go under the auspice of the farm exemption, or they're asking to, but it's not a farm related product.
Repeat that again.
Like an
I
artist.
missed the
Yeah,
first
so
part.
an artisan comes in making jewelry.
Right,
They don't want to have to pay the license, but that's not a farm related product.
right,
So they don't have the same argument.
right, they don't.
Okay, so you think they should have to get a license?
Within reason, I mean,
There,
$200
it is, it's either
is
one or,
outrageous.
it's not $200 anymore. We changed it.
Excuse me.
Even $100 is way too much.
That's what every business is now.
Well, that's why I wanted to lower it.
We gotta have some
I sell
order.
produce.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also an artist and I make jewelry.
Okay.
You make jewelry too. I'm lucky if I make 50 cents on a piece of jewelry.
I understand that, and I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but should you be covered under the farm exempt part with your jewelry?
No, I'm
Okay.
not saying that.
And I'm not saying that you guys are up there
But
making
there's a
$2
lot of
million
stuff
a day.
that is farm related, and Leah did have a list for you from the USDA
I'm looking at it.
there's a heck of a lot of stuff on there.
And it's
that is
raw
farm-
material. As soon as you take a raw material and change it, it's no longer exempt.
Well,
So-
not according to the USDA.
If you look on Pennsylvania, if you shuck your corn or sell it separate or turn wool into something that's not the original wool, then it is no longer exempt.
This is a federal
So-
stuff. We're dealing with
Whether-
state.
But you don't have to
We're
pay
dealing with
tax on
state.
this
This is
thing.
federal.
Yeah, no,
So you're saying
They're
that
tax
if you
exempt.
sell the cow and sell the
Girls,
meat, then
I
it's
can't-
no longer the same thing because it's not the cow on the road.
As long as it's his cow, it's his farm.
I'm gonna stop everyone. I'm gonna stop everyone. Wait, because we can't hear, and it has to be, you have to give permission to talk so I can hear you and understand. First of all, Dawn, would you speak up? Would you say what you just said there?
Well, I'm just trying to get caught up on some of these things. What I'm trying to say, what Jeff was reading to you, is the state of Pennsylvania regulations, which is what we have to follow.
Richard, and I want you to join in and help us out there.
I believe, maybe Rich, did you get a copy of this, Rich?
No, I didn't.
It says USDA, and I believe this is.
That's federal.
That's a federal
That's
requirement.
right. See, we have to go by, first of all, the third-class city book, and then we have to go by our ordinances. Am I correct, Rich?
Correct. And the ordinances are similar to what's in the third-class city code.
So we are governed by this. And that's another thing, that's the other thing that is detrimental to you folk. And it's not that it's wrong, it's not that it's bad that Leah gives you that, but it's inaccurate information. It doesn't apply to a third-class city. We have to follow this law. We are mandated by this. Am I saying that right?
No, you're absolutely right.
We're mandated by this. So if it's federal, they can, how does that apply for federal?
Well, federal doesn't apply to the transient merchant, the farmer exemption, or anything else that's created by the state law.
Okay, so we have to go by that. Now,
Can I ask a clarifying question?
yes.
Am I correct in that when you changed the amount of the transient merchant license and lessened it, you're now requiring the vendors to purchase both the transient merchant and the business license?
No, we didn't create that. That was in the ordinance.
So even before when the transient merchant license was higher, they were paying both licenses?
Yes.
Can you explain why that is, how they're both a transient merchant and a business in the community?
And that, I don't. Rich, could you explain? Because that goes way back.
I'm just not sure why you be classified as both.
Well, a business license applies to any business, I guess, to put it pretty simply. Transient merchant is somebody who's not in a permanent location.
But aren't we arguing whether, I feel like it's a duplicated, you should be one or the other is what I feel like, because we're arguing that we're not brick and mortar, that's why we have to pay the transient merchant, but we're also requiring the original business.
But you still own a business. And anytime you come into Titusville with a business, whether you're transient or not, you have to buy a business license. Any contractor that comes into town in Erie to remodel your kitchen, they have to buy a Titusville business license.
And then pay transient merchant on top of it.
No, because a contractor is not considered a transient merchant under the ordinance.
But that's what we're saying, that we're a business plus we're a transient on top of it.
Correct. And the reason that is it protects our local business.
So the business license is a one-time fee,
A year.
and then the transient merchant
Annual
comes
fee.
monthly on top of that? Or have now we made that a one-time fee as well?
Yeah, just annually.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, we didn't make that law. That was in law a long time ago.
I just wanted that clarified as to how we could be both and how that now works.
Right.
Okay.
And another thing too, Emily, I'm going to address you for a minute. When you came to council a few months ago, you brought your concern, said your concern about the transient merchant. But what troubles me about you is that you wear a couple hats. You're the director of the Chamber of Commerce, and you're also a president of an organization that has transient merchants. And you made the statement that these folks truck in their goods and wares and sell them at a lower cost. And you are representing the businesses, and these folks are undercutting the businesses that you represent. I don't understand, Emily, how you can do that.
Larry suggested that it's different from when we bring people in for Oil Festival, and I don't think
This is Oil Festival. That's Oil Festival.
Oil Festival brings people into town. It brings people into town whether they're buying from a Titusville resident in the park in a tent, or whether they're buying from a store, and whether they make a purchase that day in a store, they come to town, they see what Titusville has to offer.
There's an ordinance that exempts The
special
oil festival.
festivals, exactly.
The oil festival.
The oil
Well,
festival.
but also because it's
Because
a
of leisure.
festival, it's a special event. A
Because it's
special
the
event.
oil festival, it celebrates the history of our town, that's why. You can't classify that festival and the open air market together.
That was brought
That's
up
correct.
by
But
Leisure Services.
the open air market still has to apply for a special event permit. So I don't see why that is not also considered something that brings people into our town, brings people here to shop.
Because it's not how the law is written.
Again, you had it, when I brought to you, and it was, and this had nothing to do with any of the open air market, had nothing to do with it. The two people I was concerned about, and I spoke to Emily a year and a half ago, possibly two, but a year and a half ago, was the firemen, or the fireworks, and the flower shop.
And from
And
my
at the flower shop,
perspective-
and I said, as I feel it's unfair, we cannot be charging them one person one thing and another person another. And that was the reason why we were bringing that up. And you even said, yes, they're transient merchants. They're coming into town, they sell their wares, and then they head out.
But I would like to make a point that
Okay.
Stan's Garden Center, as one of those transient merchants, is also a chamber member. They are paying in, they are part of the community, they do try and get involved. I can't even tell you the name of the fireworks people that set up in the parking lot. So I understand why there was still a difference in those businesses. And I do think that they should both be charged the same, because they both set up in a same location for a limited period of time, seasonally.
Well,
I don't know if maybe something got misconstrued, but I recognize those as being transient merchants. I do think there's a difference between someone who's gonna be in the same spot year after year for the same period of time, year after year, versus someone who's going door to door, or someone who's coming through town on another circuit.
But
But it's just- they set up
per
a parking lot.
per the law, we're trying to make things fair. What we do for one, we do for the other.
Right. We have
We're
to
not
do that.
trying to put emotion into it. We're not trying to guess if the fireworks people are gonna be here for 20 years. We need to do
what's fair for
what's fair for
everybody.
everyone across the board.
And-
And as a council, we decided, we lowered the transient merchant fee, but we decided it needed to be enforced across the board
That's
to make
right.
it fair.
Right.
So we're not playing favorites to one person, we're not playing favorites to another. It just needs to be fair across the board.
Right, and that's what it's all
enforced,
about.
and it doesn't matter what happened 10 years ago. From here on forward, as a council, we decided we wanted to be fair across the board.
I want to raise it.
He wanted to raise it, I wanted
The
to
woman
lower
right
it,
behind
this is
you,
where we
she had
settled.
her hand up. Ma'am? Some,
So it was my understanding that the people who sell at the farmer's market were there under the umbrella of the farmer's market. The farmer's market would pay the fees involved, the business fee, the transient fee, or whatever.
no, that's never been brought to the city, never been brought to the city. Was that ever brought to you?
No.
We have no idea what you're talking about.
If
We
Leah,
have resolved it if the organization,
No.
the Titusville Renaissance.
No,
purchased
see,
a
so
grand
you were
license
told
license.
something, I'm
No,
talking,
I'm not saying I was told that. It was my understanding.
okay,
It would be the same as wherever this lady sells her stuff, that store brings in other vendors to sell their products.
but that's not the law.
See, there's a separation of church and state here that just isn't being understood. We have the responsibility to take and provide you a farmer's market. And for years, that word farmer's market means farmer's market. Then somebody decided to take and evolve it. This is before my seat, okay, here. They decided to turn it into the market, okay? Well, now it has all these other glittering glamoralities attached to it, okay? So what the city's responsibility is to provide a farmer's market place for you. And we have done so.
We
okay?
have, yes.
You don't have to, what I have heard in the past, over the years, is that possibly they charged you $40 so you could come into the park or something like that. You don't have to pay anything, okay? What were you paying $40 for?
The charge was for the advertising for
Advertising.
the market.
And
It's
the advertising-
bringing together of vendors,
And
and
some of
that
the
is
advertising I saw,
But
I'm
these
sorry to
folks
speak
need
over
to
you.
know that they
but-
didn't have to pay a
but
cent.
That excuse me, I'm sorry to speak over anybody, but you got me
It's okay.
going. The advertising that I have seen and I've been received, okay, is most 7th graders can take and put that together. Now, that's not $40 worth. Enough said.
And again, the farmers are welcome to use Shady Park, free of charge. You go down to Larry, you
Get
fill
a
out the
permission slip and go over and set up.
and use it free. You don't need a business license for the farmers. The others, per the law, are transient merchants and you need the licensing.
So as a farmer, I can go down to the park, I don't have to pay anything at all, I just go.
That's
Just
down
go into City Hall and get permission from the,
7 days a week.
no, we have the, well, we
There's
have,
time
a-
period.
there's time periods, there's Tuesdays.
I can't remember.
I can't remember now, it's like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays?
Yeah, there's,
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
we would give you a paper with what the
And the
conditions
hours
are.
that we
Yeah, the-
already,
Yeah.
Well,
it's like-
the reason being is because there's already scheduled events at that park,
Yeah,
that it would conflict with everybody, because there's concerts in the park on Monday and stuff like that. So-
right.
People may wish to rent the gazebo for a wedding and stuff like that. So what we tried to do is a scheduling thing here, is you can come down to the city hall.
Yeah,
Work
come
with
down and-
Diana and Larry, and all you need, the city just needs to know who's there, okay?
And they'll give him a permission slip. They'll give you a permission slip that allows you to park there. If you grow your own produce, if you have your own
I grow
eggs,
my own flowers,
pardon me?
I grow my own flowers, because my daughter was told she couldn't sell my flowers there.
Is-
Because they were non-edible. I was there that day when Larry told
I
me.
don't know, is that a farm product?
That's, and again,
Well, I start with the seed, the soil, the heat in the greenhouse. and-
okay, but that, Larry just made a
It's-
point. He said if flowers qualified, Stan's Garden wouldn't have needed one. And because they grow their own.
It's per the third class city,
See,
Okay, so.
it's produce. Like if you go to a supermarket and you say go to the produce.
You go
Well, if
to
it's
the
personal.
produce section and buy
What?
edible flowers
You can eat it.
there.
Yeah,
Yes.
there are edible flowers.
Hibiscus
She's put
tea.
them on her cakes before. Sugared flowers.
So are you saying
Well,
what
there-
you were selling that day was edible flowers?
But half of them were.
I'm pretty sure all of them were able to be eaten.
yeah,
But I
Sarah.
think part of the issue is, because there are federal regulations that you can look up online, and we don't
State.
necessarily, not everybody necessarily knows the difference between third-class city and state and federal, that it needs to be much more clear in the ordinance. But if it just says these are the exemptions, then somebody who is raising their own animal and is taking the sheep's
That-
wool, but is not making a sweater, still feels they're exempt.
That-
We don't always know that.
But we can't change what it says.
I'm not asking you
And
to
it's
change.
not our job to tell them those laws, it's the governing body of that open air
If it was-
market.
and- right.
And apparently it's not getting
clarified,
through.
but
Right.
how does that person even know
Sarah,
necessarily
you're right.
in Shady Park?
Well,
So if it was clarified in the ordinance, I think a little more clearly,
Sarah, from now on, you're right, and you know, from now on,
that it might be.
from now
more-
on, Larry, anyone that wants to come into town, they are to come to City Hall, and then you tell them what the laws are, hand them the
If we
ordinance.
just have a list.
You're right.
In the clarified ordinance,
Absolutely.
it might.
Because,
clear something.
again, back to what we're saying,
But
if you
there's state
have,
guidelines that, and I'm
If
not
you-
saying this to be
That's printed on a
rude, but if
permission
you're a
slip,
farmer selling at a farmer's market, you should know that before you go in. Or the organizing body of the event should hand that to
No,
you and say
just-
you can have this,
no,
this, this, and
just
this.
the
And it's black and white on
ordinance. It
that,
says-
with the Pennsylvania USDA guidelines.
But I will tell you that I've been to farmers markets in the state of Pennsylvania that allow other things.
That's fine, but what we're
But
trying to
so-
say is, it's a difference between a farmer and a farm-produced product than jewelry.
I understand that, but the word farmer in other locations has different connotations. Like they allow different things, so it would just be helpful to be clear. That's all I'm saying. I'm not
That's
arguing with
Sarah,
anybody.
yeah. I know you're not
It's just,
Sarah.
we're looking to be clearer.
Maybe their solicitor is more lenient than ours, I don't know.
Possibly, but you know.
Sarah,
it just.
you're right, and
Rich
that,
just a lot of this.
from now on, okay, I'm gonna stop here. From now on, any organization outside of the city is not don't go to any organization, come right to the city and ask what's permissible.
That's easy.
That's all you have to do. And then that way you folks don't feel like you're getting a raw deal, because I really truly feel you've gotten a raw deal. And because you don't know, and what you're told is maybe a little misconstrued. You know what I'm saying? So from now on, you come in and you talk to the manager or to the assistant to the manager, and they'll let you know.
Can I have you clarify something for me?
Yes.
Talking about the licensing and everything, how are you handling the 31 bags, the Tupperware, the Pampered Chef, and all that, when they have parties all over town and you're not enforcing those licenses?
See, I don't know anything about that.
Right, but how can you handle that? How can you require them to have a license?
They're,
And then you never know that they're having a party. I mean, it's there, it's done, it's gone.
Yeah, but they're not having a party in our street.
if they were having a
No,
party,
but
we
it's
should
not
enforce
private
that.
property, though.
Yeah, but we don't have like
know.
magic eyes that can see in everyone's
So-
houses. That's illegal.
But technically, they should have a business license.
Yes,
But
you're
like-
right.
but
Technically, they should, but you're not enforcing.
There's
it.
no way to
don't
find out who
know.
sells 31.
That's the
I don't have a list of who sells
I
31.
understand, I'm just saying, it feels like we're being picked on at the farmer's market.
No,
That's
it's any
private
transient.
property.
It has nothing to do with the farm, and I'm speaking for myself here. It has nothing to do with the farmers or the farmer's market. It's the fact that there's non-farm items being sold there, and they're not paying the same as every other transient merchant or brick and mortar business in town.
Because trust me, they're gonna go to Walmart before they buy from me.
Well, that's
And
fine.
I'll guarantee it, because my prices
But-
are
and I-
outrageous, because it costs a fortune to do.
And I can tell you myself, and I'm not, nor will I probably ever be a farmer, just because that's how I am, but I wouldn't want somebody there competing with other products with me, whether it's different or not. It should not be fair that they can bring in products that aren't produced and raised on their farm and make money the same as you guys.
And
That would appall me. I would be furious.
And a farmer, I grew up on a farm, and we are the hardest working people out there. I mean, we would go out, I was in those gardens, I've shoveled manure, I put hay in, straw in. I'm telling you, I love my farmers, and I'm gonna fight for my farmers. If you raise that produce, then you bring that in. There's so much that people grow, but I also know that they're trucking the stuff in from either Erie or other places. They're trucking them in, and you can. Right now, they're selling cabbage, and how long does it take to grow cabbage, Mr. Smith? You should know that.
65 days.
How many?
63 to 65 days.
So there isn't even cabbage that's ready yet.
Yes, there is.
If they had a greenhouse on their property.
Okay, so
Again, I think we're
missing.
not trying to put emotion into this.
No.
We have to follow the laws, and we have to follow
Right.
the state laws. And to be fair to all the businesses, the transient merchants, the farmers, we need to enforce those laws. That's black and white. I mean,
So-
there are state laws that we have to follow. There's our third-class city code that we have to follow.
Yes.
But again, just to reiterate Sarah's point, if you can spell out, milk is allowed, cheese is not.
Well, and
or
again,
yarn
like,
is allowed,
and
but
yes,
sweaters are not.
we should,
I would
you can't,
just write C Pennsylvania Farmers Market Guidelines.
and like Jeff said, if you're coming as a farmer to sell this, it's your responsibility to know the laws of what you're doing. I mean, you just can't do whatever and say you don't know the laws.
You guys know you can't bring in processed food unless it comes from a USDA licensed facility to process, correct?
Right. And you can't sell anything unless it's USDA tagged and marked and done by a butcher that's USDA.
Okay.
I know.
Well, no, my point is,
You know.
if that's a regulation in law, then you should know what the other ones are as well. And I'm not saying that it should be you, but at least the organizational body should give those to you, saying, hey, this is what we feel you're allowed to sell. And if you have a question about something, all it takes is a phone call.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
why
can I
is it
sell my
taking
wool?
so long for you guys to act on it? I mean, everybody knew what was at the farmer's market.
I had
for
no
years.
idea what was at the farmer's market.
Well, yeah.
I've never been.
Well, everybody in town knew what was at the farmer's
Well,
market.
that's
I mean, whether it was
putting
unappealing to
emotion
people-
that's putting emotion into,
No,
like I
I'm
said,
just
from
saying, why
here,
did it take so long for you to enforce it?
we can't, we'll be here all night. like I said, we are doing our best. We decided as a council to try to be fair to everyone, and we decided from here on out to make sure the people that need the licenses get the correct ones, and we follow the
I
laws.
think some
That's
of
what
these issues
we,
were discussed years prior to.
And these issues were discussed years ago with Mrs. Carter. And I feel bad that you folks are just,
Was there something written when this was first turned over to
Well,
the?
that's a good point here.
Renaissance?
I'm going to interject, and I see this young lady's got her hand up, but we'll come to that. But the thing here is that in 2006, what Mrs. Carter stated tonight, which I've never seen, the city has never provided me any kind of a written agreement. Do we have a written agreement? There was no written agreement that I know of. So was that, so we have to.
The only thing I can think of would be their special rent request, but that wouldn't be that detailed on there.
okay, what?
That's really somebody else.
Oh,
Yeah, this isn't played here.
Now, you say we should go by the Pennsylvania guidelines, but we've clearly showed how that can be misperceived and misconstrued between one party to the next. That's why she had asked,
I understand.
please list product for product.
And we understand that, but I'll be the first one to tell you is I can't make a list of what are the farm-produced products. I would have no idea. And you don't want me up here making a list of what you can and can't bring into the city.
just call Larry and.
I don't know how you different.
You couldn't do it. You would just have to go, and I guess the question would be, if there's an issue, you would just say, hey, it's made from material from my farm. Who's gonna prove any different? I guess the main thing we're talking about is the people who are bringing in stuff that's not real. I know, and I
No,
understand
I'm just
that.
saying, I bring in lambs. I've actually brought the livestock in as a petting zoo for the farmer's market. I've done it more than a few times. I have a black sheep that loves Johnny Cash, screaming behind City Hall. I've
And I think,
done it more than
and
once.
I think
People know I own it.
that's one of those things that might have been a clarification issue, you know, that we thought it was this and it might be this, so that's one we need to figure out. But I think everything else is pretty much cut and dry, black and white, according to those guidelines.
And like Larry said, if you have a question, they're just a phone call away.
Okay, from now on, from tonight on, please get a hold of Larry Manuels. And he'll take over, he'll help you.
I don't.
Okay? He'll guide you into it.
I don't think
Larry,
that.
I'll bring you some cookies or something.
I don't think it's
something to
wise.
Make up for it.
I don't think it's wise for us to try and come up with some kind of an ordinance that says you can have beets, peas, and all that type of
You
stuff.
can't,
written.
raw
You
material,
can't do
raw
that.
or raw produce.
So because your laws are written so they have some kind of life to them. We would be changing an ordinance all the time. God only knows whether somebody could be growing medical marijuana, and that would be one of the things. And then, you know, who knows where things in the future go.
Hey,
Yes.
Rich,
Some
it
people
isn't
like that.
possible though to simplify it and just say raw vegetables, fruits and vegetables?
I think there's a way to
Okay,
simplify.
well, you do that and you bring that back to us.
I will.
So the city solicitor will rewrite that and bring it back to us.
So here's my question. Because we feel that they were misled in this whole
Yes.
situation, are they therefore going to be exempt from the licenses until next year when
I think-
everybody's on the same page? with
I think they
clarification?
should.
I agree.
I think they should, because they did not, they were, I just think that they
What
didn't.
about the people who did
I was gonna
that?
say, I don't. I
Yes,
don't.
refund them.
How many?
That's not.
We said that we wanted to be fair across the board, and from moving forward from here on out, we were gonna treat everyone equal, and I think that is taking a step back and opening the door for more complaint and misunderstanding.
I agree with Heather.
Want to vote on
You can't vote.
it?
The
Well,
next
I mean,
meeting.
it's a meeting,
Yeah.
a vote meeting, do you want that on the agenda?
I won't be here next week. I can call.
When we voted on that, I thought it, in the terms of the motion, it was from then, therefore.
Just say that again,
It was
Don.
from that point forward when we voted. I guess what I'm saying, in agreement with Heather here, the statement of the motion at the time that we agreed and passed that motion, I think it's set from that point forward.
And Leah asked last meeting if we would not enforce that, and we said no, that we were going to enforce that.
So
I mean, I'm trying to be fair across the board. I'm not trying to.
Right.
I just want to make it clear, if I bring my product in, I cannot sell where we're currently selling. But if I wish to, I can without paying a licensing fee in the park.
You can, and then if you grew that, what do you grow, ma'am?
Vegetables and flowers.
Bring your vegetables in. Do you have cucumbers? I'm needing some. Huh? But not flowers. So bring your vegetables in. And if you grew them, bring them in and set up over Shady Park. Larry, will you get a hold of Larry tomorrow? And he'll give you the time of...
I don't want to set up there though.
Oh, okay.
I want to be in that parking lot.
Well, then that's part of the open air market, and you have to follow.
Well, no,
the farmers don't. The farmers
You
don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to. If you sell your farmer's product over there, that's fine.
And if you have a question about what that is,
Yeah.
then you can ask Larry.
So I can stay where I'm at without paying any additional fees.
Yes, as long as you sell farm products, not your flowers.
There can be an issue here. The property that they're selling right now on the corner is private property?
But they're not selling under their business license. Now,
They're
if
selling under
the
a
people
special-
there permitted, were selling that under their business license, then that would be fine. But they're not selling under that business.
I guess what I'm saying, as a council person, I don't know that I have the right to give permission for them where we've offered a spot to tell them that they can go over.
Well, you're not really giving them permission, you're just saying they don't need a license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, so what we're saying is you don't need a business license.
So I guess.
As long as you sell the produce that you're growing.
So we're basically saying, so I understand this myself, is we did provide a place, but they don't have to reside at that place to sell their farm product.
Right.
Produce.
Did you hear that? Okay.
Okay.
So as long as I have permission from the landowner to sell someplace else, I'm permitted to sell there without additional licensing.
Absolutely.
As long as it's farm products that you grow. Okay? Okay. Now, hopefully from this moment on, we won't have to discuss this anymore in a public meeting. If you folks have anything, you just go right to the city manager. He'll help you out.
We have a pre-printed form that you can get at the city services desk that explains, like Shady Park, what you're allowed to put in there, what hours you can sell, what you're basically allowed to sell. It's available, all you have to do is stop and pick it up.
Where?
At city services desk in City Hall.
In City
We're
Hall.
not from the city, so
Oh.
location would be right on.
First office in City Hall on your left.
Straight up Franklin Street, big White House.
Yeah. Big
Yeah.
pillars.
Okay.
Across from CVS on Franklin Street. Right by the city parking lot.
Okay, that's good. All right. Comments or questions by the public? City taxpayers only.
Was there any new business on the agenda?
No?
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, no. Any comments or questions by council?
Good.
All right, we're going to adjourn into an executive meeting. We're going to take that over to City Hall.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
for the next meeting, the draft.
Just 1 second. What's that?
To discuss the bridge. That's at the form next vote meeting. Prior to our next vote meeting, next Tuesday, PennDOT will have representatives here to hold a hearing for public input on the Perry Street Bridge, which incidentally has already been determined that it is going to be removed, but they would still like to have public input on what reaction anyone has to that decision.
It's nice if we would have had as many people fighting for that.
There's also a meeting here Monday night at 6 o'clock for the historical preservation study conversation.